Why that's still playing, I don't know. I got a little extra music. Oh, I don't know. I think I've got, yeah. I had to mute Dan. Oh, sorry. There we go. I figured it out. I had my own tab open in the on the side there. we got bonus background music today. Welcome everybody. I'm Darlene with Digital Photo Mentor, and this week we are going to be editing photos using Lightroom. If you are brand new to attending this live, I see a few familiar faces and names in the chat already, and I would like to, we'll chat in a moment, and I do have a special guest today, but I want to remind you to please continue to submit your images. I'm not going to be doing any subscriber submitted images today because we have a special guest, but using this link right here is where you can go to submit your photos. So I am going to hop right in and get started, and I'll be right back with our special guest in Lightroom. Hi, Dan. Okay, so welcome.
Hello.
This is Dan is one of my partners when I was doing photo tours, and Dan is in Miami, and we are great friends. We've traveled many times together, and some of the people in the chat already have been to places with us. Linton is already there, so I'm hoping a few others will join in. But welcome, Dan.
How are you? I can see some people there. Linton and Ambro is there too. So welcome everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, there's Linton who joined us in Vietnam, and let's see. You said Anne is
And
there.
many places.
There she is. Anne's been to many places with us. Sheila just did my Luminar Neo course, and she's with us a lot, as is Ron from Australia. We've had some rain here as well. Oh, good to see you, Edward. Nice to see you. I know you've had some back issues, so good to see you. Texas, we got lots of representation across the globe here. Awesome. Heather, referred from Phil Steele. Awesome. Welcome back, Heather. I'm glad to have you. And we have something on Lightroom tonight. So I know you are interested in the Luminar course. Marguerite. So lots of our regulars. Katie in Chicago. Marty, who did my Luminar class as well. So welcome, everybody. Safari Dan. So Anne is referring to she liked to dress Dan up in Moroccan clothes when they were in Morocco. So maybe Trish will join as well. And I don't know if Trish dressed you up. And Trish was with you in India, right, Dan?
In India, yes. You guys dressed me up in India too.
We dress Cav up too. So what we're going to be doing today is something a little bit different than what I usually do. We're going to be editing each other's photos. Do you have your screen share already, Dan? And we can see which one we're going to start with. So normally what I do is I edit and I demonstrate what I'm doing using Lightroom, but I've given Dan some of my images and he's given me some of his images, and we're going to work on each other's just to see if we have a different style or a different technique. Did you do your share screen? It's not on there.
No, you want me to do it now?
Yeah, just you can always leave it there. I can just turn it on and off. So yeah.
Oh, okay, perfect. Okay, all right.
So I'll go first if you want me to, but go ahead and do your okay. Sure.
Wait,
So I'm gonna add mine.
Right.
Okay.
Don't
can everybody see?
Yet.
Yeah, yours is good. Yeah. I'll just test it.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So these are Dan's images. Can everybody see? There's 6 images there. We may not get through all of them because we'll probably talk too much. And before we get started, Dan asked if we were going to be having a cocktail or anything. So I'd just like to say salud, cheers to my friend Daniel, and to all of those watching. Those of you who have joined us on a tour or a course, thank you. And I hope to you having a good evening or day wherever you are. I'm guessing Anne has a glass of wine. She will have a glass of wine for sure. Okay, so I kind of already started one of these, but I'm gonna do this one first. Where did you take this one, Dan? Do you want to tell us about the image?
Sure. That one in particular, I'm going to show you mine afterwards, right? Yeah.
Yes, after, yeah.
Yeah. This one in particular is on Diamond Beach in Iceland, a trip that I did last year. Actually, I think it was the first trip after we got
COVID.
in lockdown here. So I was very excited to go back to Iceland with a couple of friends, and we had a really good time there. So that's Diamond Beach there, which is a very very well known place for photography.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I like the long exposure, right? So if people want to see his exposure here, it is a quarter of a second f13, and then there's like a chunk of ice. So what I do is I usually change the camera profile first. So I'm going to use Astia because I know Dan is using a Fuji as well as I am, and I'm going to correct the cropping because I can see that it's crooked. So I'm going to just try auto and see if it fixes that. Looks pretty good. So I'm looking at the horizon. I'm trying to make sure the horizon is straight. If auto doesn't work, then I will use this little ruler tool here, and I just start it at one side. I'm trying to find the horizon here. I don't know if I can zoom in while I'm cropping. I'm going to go from there to there. Does that look right? That doesn't look right.
Yeah, some place there. Yeah.
Yeah, more like that. So I want to
There
get it
you go.
straight. Yeah. So I want to get it straight. So that looks good. And I like how much foreground there is. I don't want to crop in that much. Yeah, let's about like that. Okay, so I'm going to crop that. And then my trick, the next thing I do, anybody that's watched my videos, is I do the double click on the word whites and blacks. And in this case, it took whites to the negative. So I'm actually going to bring it up because it's going to clip the sky. And so what I'm looking for is I want to make sure that I have pure white in the image. And I'm holding down the Alt key to show that when I click the slider. Okay, so the sky is clipping, but I'm going to fix the sky separately. Okay. Then I'm going to lift the exposure a tiny little bit to kind of make the foreground a little brighter. And then I'm going to do the sky separately. And I want to add some clarity, but I don't want to do it globally. I might do a very tiny little bit here, which is applying to the whole image. And then I want to go masking. So I love these masking tools in Lightroom as I'm using the sky, but see how it didn't really select the whole sky? It's not done a great job there. So I'm actually going to choose linear gradient and just draw it in myself because the sky is pretty straightforward here. So what I'm looking for is I want to bring the highlights down. And if I want to make sure that I'm not getting anything clipped, J on my keyboard, Rob, as usual, is in the chat, and he'll be sharing links with you. So if you could please share a link to our Lightroom keyboard shortcuts, please, in the chat. And then I'm going to darken the sky. I want to make sure, see, I'm not getting any clipping. I've got that part now in the sky, and there's no clipping. I could even spread it out a little bit more so it comes across this part of the water here. Okay, so I've got that, and darken it. I could even blur it if I wanted to, right? So I could actually take sharpness and texture and clarity down so I can actually blur the sky a little bit more. So I might do that. Then I want to add another mask because I want to see if it's going to select the subject as this piece of ice here. It did. Yay. Okay. So now that's where I'm going to add my clarity and the texture. And I might even try adding a bit more white. So I've got my clipping warnings on again, right? So I'm dragging the white slider up until I start to get some clipping. That's the red part. Okay. And then the blacks clipping a little bit more as well. Okay. Now, if I want a different color in here, if I want it less blue, I can actually shift the color a little bit here too. Okay, so that's why I love these masking tools. Maybe a little bit less magenta. Okay, so that looks pretty good. So I'll do a before and after. That's the backslash key. So far, that's looking pretty good. Right now, if I want to make the rest of this all sort of blurry, right, I can mask it again. And because I've already done a selection with the sky or the subject where it selected that ice chip, I can select it again and then just invert it, right? So if I want to darken everything else, or in this case, blur it more, I'm just going to take everything down a bit blurrier, like so. So I think that's kind of cool. So I've just enhanced sort of that blurriness a little bit. Now I find that the shadows here are really blue. So my trick for fixing that is color grading. So I just use so you have sort of a way to adjust the shadow, highlights, and midtones in the color grading. And I'll use the shadows and I'll set it to something warm, like yellow, and then just add a bit of saturation, right? Let's see what that's doing. If I toggle this tool off, look in this area right here. Say it's just sort of getting rid of that blue tone a little bit. Right? Likewise, if I wanted it more blue, I could actually go the other way, right? If I want the water to look more blue, like so, or even more magenta. Actually, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. And now the highlights are kind of blue, so I might go in and do highlights and just add a bit of warmth to the highlights. So that's kind of my split tone, and that will pick up the sunset as well, right? So see what that's doing is it's picking up all of those areas. So for me, I had actually probably finished this image in Luminar and give it like some demystify or something. I just added a quick dark edge vignette. So that's as part of our presets as well. Hey, look who's here, Dan. George.
Oh, George.
Hey, George. George is doing tours with Dan as well. And as Rob mentioned, actually, you could put a link to Dan's tours, Rob, because Dan's got a couple spots left on some coming up ones as well. I'll get him to talk about that. So that's about all I would do with this image. So let's see what you did with this one, Dan.
You have it on the screen actually already. Let me put it full screen. Hold on, let me go back.
Oh, it looks pretty similar.
There you go. Oh, I know what happened. Okay, so there you go. Yeah, I think because it was like in the morning, I think maybe mine is a little bit warmer than yours, but that's, and I crop it differently also, but that's all basically. It's very similar.
Yeah, I think I'm looking at both screens, and yours, I'll flip back to mine here. I'll do mine full screen.
Mm-hmm.
And there we go. Okay, so if people want to compare, so that's Dan's edit. And there's my edit. So yeah, pretty similar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just a bit warmer.
So say it warmer, yes.
Okay, why don't you do one of mine now?
All right. Okay.
All right.
Let's do that.
I'm eager to see what you're gonna do.
Me too. Listen,
I thought you were doing this one.
Listen, I'm not doing that one. Okay. So fair warning, I haven't done much editing lately, so I am a little bit rusty. And Darlene threw me some images that I was not expecting, so including some very old ones from Canon. Okay, so that's fine. Yes, correct. So the first one, let's do this one first. Okay, so I'm going to go to the develop module here, and this one to me, I mean, I like because it's like a very serene, very quiet image, and I think because there are some grain that I already see on this image. It was shot 600 and I saw 640, but in a 2006 camera, so obviously it's some grain there. And to me, this image is going to work very well in black and white, so I'm going to start doing that. I'm sorry, I am not, as explanatory as Darlene doing what I am doing, but I try to do my best. Okay, she's a teacher by nature. I am not, but
just
I try.
Talk about what you're doing. That's all. But also tell them why you're doing that, like why, and ignore all my dust spots. Ignore my dust spots on my sensor and your untitled file name there on the.
I'm going to try to clean them very quick. Okay.
Okay, all right.
So the first thing is obviously because this is raw, the image is very flat, and I'm going to do something similar that what Lynn did before, which is basically doing the whites and black. But I use sometimes I do it different ways. Sometimes I use curves, which is to me like a little bit easier to do. It's more like quick and visual, and that's like where I am starting. When I am doing like color images, I also try to do my contrast first because that adds saturation, so that gives me a good starting point as well. Okay, so that's that. So that's the first thing I did, and then I'm going to add some clarity, okay, and some texture to the image. And as you can see, as I am doing that, it's adding a little bit of more noise that you can see here, but it's good noise. So I like it because it's the look I am going for, with this image. And then I'm going to add a little bit more of blacks and a little bit more of whites to increase the contrast of the image. And basically, I want to bring more attention to this board. Um, I normally add a vignette to the photos, but in this one, I really, like the one that is already here. So I'm not going to play with this. So it's like a pretty straightforward. This image, I don't think there is much else that I would like to do at this point, other than cleaning the dust spots. But that's very easy, with
Yeah.
this removal tool with the clone. If you guys are familiar, just click on the different spots, and it goes very very quick normally. The one that is more difficult is this snake. Most I don't
Yeah.
know what you got. I don't know what you got in there. I mean, but that one is probably easier to remove in Photoshop. But I'm not going to do that now, I guess. So this is pretty much what I will do with this image, and this was the before and the after.
Did you add film grain? I missed that.
No, it's no, because I said at the beginning, because I don't know if, this was taken in 2006. So, and you did this image in ISO 640, which back then it was
It was
normally
hot.
noisy like this. So I didn't add anything, but it looks okay. The grain, I don't want to remove or add anything for the look I am going on this image.
Okay, so you want to see my finished edit?
Of course.
All right. So Rob says in the chat he's been seeing this image for years because this is actually one that I used to sell at art shows and things. So this one's been sold quite a lot, and I liked what you liked about it when I shot the scene was that it was sort of all very soft and monochromatic. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I left it in very soft color, but I added more grain. So you can see. Well, this is I don't know if I can make it any bigger, but can you see? It's like pretty.
You went for a more artistic
Yeah,
even look
yeah. I
than the
went
one
for
I
it.
did. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
printed on canvas, so it really sort of held the grain very well. But I stayed with
Mm-hmm.
that soft kind of look. But I want to show everybody something else because this is the original image, the raw file, and you can see all the spots there. So I just did a quick correction in Lightroom while you were doing yours. And I wanted to show them this under this lens correction panel, that vignette that you were talking about that was on there. That's
Mm-hmm.
the lens doing that. So
Correct.
it was for everybody else's benefit. It's because I'll show Dan's before and after again. They're asking for that, but it's because of
Yeah.
if you have a lens that's like a lesser expensive lens, this one is actually where are you? It's a Tamron 28-300. So it wasn't a great lens, and it's got cut off on the edges. Okay, so when you go in to the lens profile or lens corrections here, and I chose the profile, right? It didn't find the lens at first. I just had to choose Tamron, and then it filled it in. But see the difference that it makes is it's darkening these corners, right? So Dan chose to keep it and I got rid of it. I think in my original, I did keep it as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like it. Yes.
But I wanted to show them, and I want to show you this too. So watch this. I'm going to take this image to Luminar Neo because watch what happens. When we go to Luminar Neo, it now has an automatic dust removal button. One click, right? So let me get Neo over on, I got to get off full screen here. 1 second. Okay, so let me get Neo over here. I got to make it fit on my screen. I'm working with 2 screens, you guys. Okay, so there's Neo. And when I go into edit in the erase tool, it has this remove dust spots. Okay, so like Dan said, there's some down here. So it's a lot of work to remove these. And some of my images were really bad. My Canon was really, really bad on dust. Okay, so I just hit this button and then let's see what happens. Like it's working, and da 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 da. Look at that.
Come on.
Just like that. No more snake. No more snake. Hey, Trish is here. Trish is here, Dan.
How are you, Trish?
She says she's just popping in for a few minutes and she'll catch it.
Yeah, I see that. Yes.
Okay, so Heather wants to see the before and after again. So I'll show you my before and after. I'm just going to cancel out of this because I don't need to apply this. And so my before and after on this one, I just did a basic light adjustment and color correction. And my finished one, where is it? My finished one was actually lightened and the color desaturated. So very similar to Dan's. And then if you want to show your before again, so you know that one. Yeah. So before and after. Can you hit I? Just get rid of that overlay thing.
Which one?
I on your keyboard.
Oh.
I. Again, there you go. So it shows the full image. Yep. Cool. All right. So do you want to do another one or should I do yours?
Whatever, it's fine.
I'll do yours. Okay. So far, too similar. I don't want you to see all those. Don't look. Okay, I started working on this one, and I thought this was kind of a cool one. Something I do on all of my images is I enable the profile and correction, and like Dan said, Fuji has it built in, and I enable the chromatic aberration. And I also generally go and look at the color profile in here, and I usually use one of the camera ones. So I think in this one, I think I used either Provia or ASCII. I think I used Provia. Which one do you use the most, Dan, with yours?
It depends. So I always start doing the same thing. That's my first step. Actually, it depends what type of image I am doing. If it's a landscape, depending, what type, I normally use Astia or Vivid. Those are the ones that I lean more towards.
Okay, so what I'm doing so far is I've just done a little bit of whites and I'm holding down the Alt key. So I'm holding down the Alt key as I'm sliding it, and then I get this clipping. And then as soon as I get the clipping, I come back until there isn't any. And watch the histogram. So watch up here as I'm dragging it up, right? You see it go, the spike on the histogram, and then come back down, okay? With the blacks, I want to have a little bit of blacks clipping because exactly what Dan mentioned is when you add black, you get more color, okay? So I'm adding the blacks. So I want to clip a little black and no whites. Okay, then I'm going to lower the highlights a bit because I want to pick up a bit of this light in the middle area here, but I don't want to make it too flat. Okay, so I want to pull it down a little bit, but not too far. And I warmed it up a little. So far, I've just sort of changed the color a little bit. I want to see, if I go really red, I'm guessing, well, this is Utah, right? Arches Park?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right, so the Earth is really red, isn't it? And I mean, that's probably closer to what it really looks like.
That's actually Canyonlands National Park, but That's the Mesa Arch. Oh, look, Flavio is here also. Look at you.
Flavia.
Hey,
Flavia.
Flavio. I will see you in a couple of
Bienvenido.
weeks, buddy.
Bienvenido, amigo. So Flavio is Dan's guide in Peru, and I was with him last time we did our last Peru tour,
Yes.
and nice to see you, Flavio. Okay, we have a Peru image, but I will do that one next. We do have a Peru image, I think, from the last tour, or maybe even.
Yeah,
Okay,
actually, yes.
that's what I've done so far, and I'm gonna crop it because I want to get rid of some of this light. See, when I'm looking at cropping, there's this little sunlight bits at the bottom here. So Anne's gonna tell me about my eagle eye. She says I have the eagle eye to see these things. Right. So I'm gonna crop these little light spots off at the bottom, and I'm gonna get rid of some of the rock at the top, because the rock at the top here is taking up a third of the image. And for me, so this is what's called visual mass. It's taking up a lot of the image. I don't want more the eye to go in here, right? So I'm going to get rid of some of that. And I also think it's crooked. I'm just going to dial these highlights down so I can sort of see where the horizon is, because it's hard to tell, but I'm trying to look at the horizon in the background, and it's hard to tell, but to me it looks like it should be like that. We'll see. Because I'm trying to see like this line right here, right? But it's too hard to see yet. So I'm going to do some more masking and see if I can pull out the sky. So I'm going to I tried select sky. Like I said, I tried playing with this one ahead of time. And again, it didn't pick up as much of this sort of part that I would have liked. So I'm just doing an undo or command or control Z. So where Z is Canadian. And instead, I'm going to do a luminance range. So I'm going to select luminance range and then draw it over like this area. Right, so now it's selecting more of this hazy area, and I can use these sliders to adjust it. So I want to get somewhere, something like this. So it goes a little farther, kind of like that. So I'm going to bring the highlights down, but I'm also going to make sure I add contrast there. Because the reason that it looks hazy is because it's missing the blacks and the whites. And then I'm going to bring the exposure down, and now it just looks like...
And it was hazy.
It was crazy. Yeah. And now it looks like it's like a weird yellow. So I'm going to take some yellow out. So I'm trying to get the color and maybe even desaturate it a bit, because there's just a weird like color in there. Can you see that? If I'm not sure what color, like look what happens when I saturate it. It's definitely sort of magenta-y. So I'm trying to get rid of that color, right? But this is what see what that's doing. It's darkening that area, and now I'm thinking maybe I actually want to expand it and see, to turn it on, I guess. That helps. There, if I expand it a little bit, see how if you blend it better, and I'm speaking for, everybody's benefit here, that it just sort of matches a little bit nicer, right? And there's a difference if I do exposure versus highlights. So I'll try them both and usually do a combination of both like that. Okay, so something like that. And then I actually did a tone curve. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to give a little more contrast to the midtones. So I'm putting my S curve in the middle here, and then just keeping the highlights down. And so I can even go it farther down here and give it a bit more depth. Okay, so if I turn see what that's affecting the whole image. And if I don't want the shadows so deep, I can make another point there. So see what my curve is doing. I can hear you typing down. And then the other thing I did was I used the color grading on this one as well in the shadows, because I wanted the ground to be more yellow, but I didn't want the earth or the sky was coming out too yellow. So see how I'm making the earth more yellow, and then I can deal with highlights. I'm not even sure what to add in the highlights. I'm going to try blue and see if I can neutralize. That's not bad, because now I have a complementary color scheme happening. So that's not bad. And maybe a little more this way and less sort of yellow. Now that I've done that, I'm going to mask this and have less. Yeah, I did less yellow. Okay, good. All right, so something like that. So let's see my before and after. But I like cropping it because I like the more panoramic, right? Might give it a little more space on the bottom. About like that. Something like that. This one I might take to Luminar as well, but I'm curious to see what you did with this one, Dan. So you've got yours already?
It's already on the screen if you switch
Okay,
it.
I'll do mine full screen, and then I'll do the before and after. Okay, so there's the after. Get my mouse out of there. Before and after. But I would probably do a little more in Luminar, but let's see yours. Let's see how close.
It's very close, the crop.
Yeah, mine is more from the top, but it looks like we
Yeah.
did something similar. I added more contrast as well. Mine has got more dark, but yeah, close.
Yeah, and because actually one of the things there, which is not captured very well, maybe in the picture, one of the things that I added is I added more light and warmth to the top of the rock because when you are there, you are supposed to
Right.
be like the sun reflecting into that section of the rock. So that's why
Right.
I did that as well.
So I'm going to go to Luminar anyways, just to show people that are using Lightroom what Luminar can do. So if you're not currently using Luminar, here's a little preview, I guess. There are presets and things that are included now, but I want to just go and use some of my favorite tools. Right. I have these actually favorited because I like this color harmony tool. Check this out, Dan. Okay. Are you ready for this one? Okay. So what it does is it finds opposite colors. So I drag the slider up, and because we've got sort of orange and blue, if I put this slider closer to orange, it increases the contrast in the oranges and decreases it and darkens the opposite. Okay. If I go the other way, right, we get more contrast in the sky over here, right? And less in the, so we can really target, and even from here, we can mask, right? So if I wanted to mask, right? So look at that contrast. It does a really nice job with contrast. And the other cool thing is you can make the warm colors warmer, like this, and the cool colors cooler, like that. So that's kind of cool. And then you can also adjust shadows, midtone, and highlight. This is kind of like what you can do on curves as well, right? So if I want to affect shadows, midtones, like if I'm still dealing with these highlights, I'm not crazy about this color, right? If I want more blue or yellow, I can decide what I want to have in the background, right? So that's one of my favorite tools in Luminar. And then structure and Enhance AI are another two that work great. So Sky Enhancer will pull down like lots of details in the sky here. Interesting. Look at that. It looks like there's actually shadows of the layers back there. That's kind of interesting. Yeah, look at that coming out. Huh. Now you can see where the horizon is. So you can't do cropping, but I can crop back in Lightroom. And then my other favorite one is Mystical, and it just kind of gives this like hazy sort of glow, which I like. So here's my before and Luminar and my after. But you can also do things like a LUT, which might be cool on here. So if you don't have Luminar, you can do this in Lightroom or in Photoshop as well. And I know, where's my cheat sheet? Rob, if you could share the link to the cheat sheet for the LUTs, because in Luminar, you get these default LUTs, which is a lookup table or a color, and it allows you to do this special color grading to your image. So if I want to have it more sort of warm, I already know, I think Genius or let's try even sepia. Sepia might be kind of cool, or smoky. So those are kind of my go-tos. I use those a lot. Let's try smoky, right? So you can dial in the amount of it, right? And the contrast, a little bit less contrast is nice. Let's try the sepia one. Where is it?
One up, yes.
That's kind of cool too, actually.
Yeah.
Kind of like that. So yeah, it gives a nice sort of grading. Wooden, was that the one that I just had? What was the other one that looks good? Yeah, you can play with these things forever. There's kind of some really cool. You can also get into some like cross processing and stuff. And ones that came out earlier, which were these ones that came out from Skylum. So they were actually Ukraine names, and they've got sort of these warm colors, which work on this image too. I like that. I kind of like that.
Yeah.
I think wooden was the best. That was the first one I had, or smoky. Smoky. So it kind of is desaturating, this one. I like smoky. I'm going to go with smoky and just dial that down a little bit. Right. You do have the histogram and stuff in here too, so if you want to bring any of the details back and the highlights, you can. All right. So I'll switch over to you, and then you can do one of mine.
Okay.
Yeah, more desert-like. That's kind of what I was going with the brown tones, right? Less color, because the desert is kind of monochrome, right?
All right, let's see. Okay, let's go to Venice. This is Venice, right? Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Blue hour, guys. Okay, so I'm going to pick first, to explain before the color profile. This is a Fuji image, so I'm going to most likely go with Astia for this one. And once I have done that, this is like a pretty dark image in the foreground, let's say, but I know there is a lot of detail there, and sometimes I want to see what's there, so that will give me an idea of what can I do when I am working on the image later. So I normally like open all the shadows to see how much I have there. And also with the exposure, you guys can see like these cameras have an incredible amount of how do you help me there, a lot of dynamic range there. So there is a lot that you can do if you know, or you have a specific idea regarding that. So because there are some highlights here. I mean, if you do like your whites and darks, you already have like whites. But I'm going to play a little with the these curves, and I'm also going to open the shadows. One of the things that I normally do on these images, but this one is pretty straightforward. I don't know if it's going to do anything or not. On pictures like that, I want to make sure like all the lines are parallel, right? So especially if these are architectural or city lines, I normally like that. So the first thing I try is auto on the transform, and that makes all the image to do vertical. But she probably was on a tripod here, and the camera was pretty much straightforward, so there is no much that this is doing. It's just doing a little bit, but that's normally something that I normally do at the beginning as well.
Dan, Heather had a question. She said, you open all of what? Were you talking about opening the shadows, you mean?
Shadows, yes.
Yeah. So by that
Like
he means just like lifting the shadows or bringing some detail out, Heather.
right, correct. What I was trying to see is I'm not going to go to the extreme, but I try to see how much detail I have on that image before I'm going to process, so I know, how far I can take it in certain areas. Uh, because uh, in this type of images, what I like to do is I like to focus, attention on certain things, and it's going to make the image more interesting. So I normally do a lot of that using masks, and I'll show you what I mean. But first, I'm going to add a little bit of clarity there and texture, which is already, changing the contrast as well, and add some vibrancy. And now I'm going to start to try to fine tune some of the details that to me makes an image like this different. So, like for example, okay, I use a radial gradient on part of the image, like so. I'm going to change the feather a little bit, and then I work on the exposure there. So I am having more attention now on the canal, where you can see more reflection on the building there, which was not there before. And the same way I did that, I like to add spotlights in different parts of this scene, so that part looks more, you can have more attention of that. So I add another, uh, okay, here. And basically, what I'm trying to do is I try to work. Then I might do something different, but I try to work on parts where there is existing light, and I try to enhance that part, right? So I added another one there, and in this one, I'm going to give you a little bit more exposure there. And I also normally what I do is I add a little bit of yellow using the temperature slider there to make it that part of the image also a little bit warmer. Also because it's very pleasing to see, because all the rest of the image is blue, so I'm starting to add attentions to to those spots. And if they are not done, sometimes I create some spots on part of the image that I want to do. Like for example, I add another one, same radial. And like for example, on this part here, and I increase the exposure a little bit there, and also a little bit of the yellow. So that's bringing attention to different parts of the images, and sometimes I spend a lot of time. It depends how deep I want to go into the image, and sometimes I really spend a lot of time doing these fine details. Another thing that sometimes I do is a little bit of dashing and burning. I'm going to do like an example here. And it's where I see that I can have some stuff that will help, the image. Like for example, on these windows here, okay, if I add, can do with a brush, and then what happened here in 1 second? Okay, there you go.
Heather was asking what
Uh,
the fuzzy red circle was, and I can explain that for her when I demonstrate. But it's basically the edge of the radial gradient, Heather. So when he's dragging that radial gradient out, the more that it's feathered, or the more that he increases the feather, it means that it fades slower. So it goes from one thing to the other, and you'll see it more fuzzy. If the feather is lower, you see a harder edge line.
I don't know why this is not.
Oh, because you
Something
haven't put
happened here. Give me one. Huh?
You have to add maybe. Oh, the map.
Yeah, no, it's
Oh,
already there,
push
but
add. Yeah, do a new one.
okay,
Brush.
there you go. Yeah, yeah, there you go. There it works. Um, so it's doing a very bad job there. Okay, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to decrease the intensity. But so here, see, I increase a little bit of the exposure there. Okay. And then I don't know why my Wacom is not is acting up. Okay. So, and then I do the same in the other ones, right? You get the idea. Oops. For whatever reason, my tablet is not connecting to the computer. So, but you can see there, like, how I added a little bit more of light there, of detail. And then, you can play, because you don't want to go like this, obviously, right? So once you have your mask on, you can play to see, where do you think, it works for these specific images. And sometimes, I can, in this case, increase a little bit more on the blue, right? So, and
Would you
then,
crop this
like I
one?
say,
Would you crop
no,
the
I
image?
didn't crop it. No,
Would
this
you?
this is the
No, that's good.
original. No, no, I didn't crop it. No. Oh, you asked me if I will crop it. I was
Yeah,
thinking
will you?
about that before, and I think it works the way it is. Sometimes I have to see, this sign maybe could be something that I might, get rid of, um, and that light there, and that might work a little bit better there. And then the same thing that I did here with the light, I might do it here, on these portions of the image, uh, and I will finish, like, you adding a little bit of vignette there. But I normally, like, will go and, like, for example, all the um, you know all these highlights here, I will probably go and with the brush go there and paint to add just a little bit more of contrast, local contrast there. Okay, and work on that. Same, here.
So how much
Um,
time would you spend on
where
an image like that normally? Because we're not, I mean, we're obviously not going to do it real time, but
No,
how
I
much?
know, of course. No, it depends. If I like it a lot, if I like a lot the image, I may spend 20 minutes, 30 minutes on an image. It depends how much I like it. Sometimes it's just like couple of basic adjustments, and I am done. So, but if there is something that I think is worth, I mean, I will spend my time there.
So how do you like this image?
I like it. I like it a lot. That's why I picked it.
And I know you
I
like
have.
blue.
You are asking me.
blue
You are
Dan,
asking me if I have FOMO. Yes, I do.
yes. So for those of you that don't know Dan, he tends to have FOMO, which is fear of missing out on things. And when I went to Venice 2 years ago, he was having FOMO that he was not there. So I sent him those on purpose. We tried to exchange some locations of places that I tried to give him ones that he hasn't been to, and places that I haven't been to, is the ones that he gave me. So put your finished one on there, and I'll show you my version again. So
Oh, okay.
do that one full screen. I know it's not finished, but you
No,
did
I
something.
know it's not finished.
Let's see
Finished,
the
but
before and after just to compare.
I need to go to the develop model
Yeah.
now. Okay, to do that again.
There it is.
Oh,
Yep.
now that I see it, I might go get rid of this cable too. If
So
I
let's do the before one more time. Before. Yep. Cool. So added some contrast, brought the reflection out. Okay. So here comes my after. So I darkened the sky quite a bit, and I left quite a bit of yellow. I noticed you removed some of the yellow and made it less intense. And I actually like the contrast between the blue and the yellow because it's those complementary colors. And I
Mhm.
removed this. There was that bright spot in the bottom corner here. I cropped some of it out, but I removed it. And I took the color out of this red sign, and I wanted to focus the same on the sign, the canal, and the boat in the canal. Now let me just
Mhm.
see. Okay, so yeah, this is my raw file. So I'll do my before. So that's the original. Yeah, so it's quite, like Dan said, lots of high dynamic range, so lots of contrast, right? And I use the tools in Lightroom to pull those out. Again, I would probably pull this one to Luminar at the end and do my mystical, which is my favorite filter. Okay. Not that different though. I mean, you took more of the yellow out and you were doing some cool highlight things. So you want to know where my hotel room was in there? My room was like right over here. Yeah.
That's easy then.
I know. I just walked downstairs and then it's there. Okay, so.
But it was not in the morning, right?
That was nighttime. Yeah, nighttime. No, it was not in the morning. But the morning ones were the ones with the characters that I went for 5 a.m. Yeah.
Oh,
so,
yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you did the sunrises there too.
If you had a question, if you have a question that is not answered here, Heather, send us an email. I think you bought the Luminar course. If you did buy the Luminar course, you should have our email address, but you can use the contact form that Rob put there in the chat to reach us anytime on the website if you're having technical problems or if you just want to ask me a question. Also put a link to our Facebook group, Rob, because sometimes you can share questions there as well. You can also post an image and then get opinions from other group members, and I'll help you there also. And likewise, if you're in the Luminar course, you can ask questions there. While I'm on this subject of courses, I'm just going to come over here. So let me switch gears for a second. I mentioned to Heather that we do have a Lightroom course as well, and it's being produced right now, but it's available for purchase still, and it's $59. If you could please share a link to that course, Rob. So there will be probably around 50 pre-recorded lessons that will be there for you. There's already 7 uploaded, and we're adding more every week. I'm doing a few every day, as much as I can. And we are also going to have around 10 live, what we're calling watch parties, where we'll watch the lessons together, and then you'll have time to ask Q&A of me live about that lesson. Okay, so anything, it's kind of like this, but it's a Zoom call, so you can speak, you can ask your questions, I can see you, you could see me, much more interactive with only students of the course. Right. Heather says, you didn't buy the Luminar course, you want to learn Lightroom first. So my question for you actually, Heather, would be, have you decided which program you want to use? Because if you're a total beginner, which is what you said, I would actually recommend Luminar for you and not Lightroom at all. Lightroom is a lot more complex, and it may actually be more than you need. So feel free to send me an email if you want, and I can help you sort of think through that and help you decide which software is good for you, right? Because with Lightroom, you have to pay the Adobe subscription monthly, and with Luminar, you can buy it outright, and you don't have to pay that as well. All right, so let me go back to Lightroom, and I'm going to do this one. So if Flavio is still here, he will probably recognize this one. I think we did this one in Chinchero, right?
I think so, yes.
The weavers. Okay, so I'm going to get a nice profile first. Oh, look at the red. That really comes out nice. Okay, so I'm going to use Provia. So I'm just kind of moving my mouse back and forth, and I will show you the sort of the thing with the radial filter. Okay, so I'm going to do the shift double click on the word whites and then the word blacks. And what that does is it just sets the end points. And I want to give a little bit of clarity. And I want to increase the exposure a little bit, but I don't want to go too far because I'm going to brighten her, but I don't want to brighten all this other stuff. Okay, so we're going to do that. I always want to make sure that I've got the chromatic aberration turned on. That's always a good idea. And that's something that you can actually do as an import preset, which is part of our Lightroom preset. So lens corrections and chromatic aberration, you can apply upon import, and you don't have to do that every single time. Okay, I'm going to do a vignette, probably a low one. This is in my preset pack. And I want to darken this part because it's like really bright coming up to her. I like the leading lines coming to her, but I want to maybe I don't know. I think I might even want to go like square on this one, right? Because she's kind of in the middle, and I don't like this stick here. So I'm going to go kind of something like this. Yeah, I like that. Right now I'm going to see what it selects for subject. So I find that the Lightroom thing is hit and miss, right? It definitely has selected her, so that's good. So I'm going to brighten her. So keep in mind, exposure is midtones, and as I brighten it, those highlights are getting brighter as well. So I'm clipping, see, on her sleeves now. So I'm going to bring the highlights back down and also add some black, because I find when you increase the exposure, it starts to look flat. Okay? And I'm going to deal with the saturation a little bit overall, but I'm not crazy about this red. So I know I'm going to have to deal with this color here. I'm going to add one more mask, and I'm going to do a linear gradient from the bottom, because I want it to come sort of from darker from the edge in, like that. Okay, so the wider I make this gap here, the more that it will fade. Okay, and that's that sort of faded area that you were talking about. That's just what's called the mask. So the mask is showing where it's applying. Okay, and you can see if I turn these off, it's brightening her and darkening this foreground. Okay, I'm going to do one more, and I'm going to select her again and then invert it. So I have the opposite and then darken the whole thing. Right. And I actually want to darken her hand and her body a little bit more. So I'm going to add to this mask. So I can actually tell it, okay, I want a little bit more area covered. Right. See, now I'm covering her clothes and her hands as well. And I just want to make sure that I'm darkening like so. Actually, if I go to extreme, that's actually really dramatic. That's pretty cool. The other thing that I can do is I can actually lower the texture and the clarity and sort of make those things more out of focus. Now, keeping in mind that it's going to blur her a little bit, but her face is now going to be the sharpest thing. So I kind of like that idea, right? So far, we're just, see the difference, right? We don't have a flash or anything here, and I'm bringing out the lighting on her. Now I want to deal with this saturation, but I don't want to desaturate the whole image, right? I want to just do one color. So like Dan mentioned, I'm going to go into HSL, and I'm going to use these tools here. So there's one called a targeted adjustment tool. And when I click on it, whatever I hover over and click on with my mouse, okay, that's the color that it desaturates. So whether I go up or down. The problem with that is that, see, her face also has red, right? So if I go with that, I can't mask this tool. And if I use a mask, right, there is no HSL tool here. So that's actually one drawback of Lightroom, is that I can't do that. Right? One thing I am going to do is I'm actually going to shift this color a little bit more towards the orange. Right? So I can shift the hue a little bit, and I can lower the saturation a tiny bit, but I don't want to go too far, because this red, they're darkening it. See how it darkens her face too? And I don't want to do that. Okay. I want to make sure that there we go. So orange is more facial tone, right? Lots of skin tone has orange. I'm darkening the red. So that's not bad. Okay, so see how I'm taking a little bit away from the red again? Okay. Oh, this one here, I kind of like the idea of making it look like an antique. So I might do some color grading. And to make sort of like a sepia tone, I'll get like a yellow in the shadows. So I'm using shadows. If you only see this, just click one of these little items here. So it's shadows, midtones, highlights, right? So I'm going to do shadows and give it some yellow. So I'm just bringing the saturation up high like Dan did, so I can get sort of the color that I like. And then just bring it sort of somewhere in the middle, right? Like that. I like the idea of having this one grainy also, maybe, and giving it sort of that old world feel, or maybe even adding like a texture overlay, something like that, um, to kind of grunge it up. But I would probably go and take her over from here to Luminar, because Luminar has other things again that Lightroom doesn't have. So there's things that each of them do that the other can't do, right? Like Lightroom doesn't have layers. You can't replace a sky. You can't add a texture. And you can't mask the color tool with the HSL, which I can in Luminar, as well as the portrait tools, which make a really big difference when I'm dealing with a face. So when we go into Luminar, I often use Luminar to finish my images. I just have to wait for it to load. There we go. Okay, so I use the portrait tools. Okay, are you ready for this one to blow your mind as well, Daniel? Okay, watch this. Okay, so face light is like dodging the face. So look at. Right?
It's like cheating. Come on.
But watch what happens. So if I make it to extreme, and this is a trick that I did a little video on recently on our YouTube channel, if you could share that, Rob. So I make it extreme, and then I darken the overall image brightness, and now look at how it's like basically using a vignette with her face as the center, right? So I use that one a lot. But when I go to the color tool, this is the one I was talking about with the HSL. So if I want to desaturate the reds, like here, right, lower that, and I want to darken it so that her red is not, see, it's not so obnoxious then. I don't want it to be like sort of, in your face, right? But it's affecting her, right? Like her skin tone. So if I do masking, I can do a radial gradient and put it just over her face. So I'm coloring, or I'm affecting this area, everything except her face. So that's why I like this tool better. I might not go quite so far. I like this tool in Luminar better than in Lightroom because I can do that. Then let's see if I want to add a texture overlay. I can do that with a layer. I could even add a bokeh. Let's see what this texture looks like. Right, so I just need to change the blend mode. Let's go. I don't know if you can hear that. We've got a thunderstorm coming. So I like what the texture is doing here, right? But see how it's affecting her? But I can mask this layer as well, right? So I'm going to dial it up strong just so you can see the texture. And then I'm just going to use a radial gradient again. But there's also these new ones, this Mask AI, where it actually analyzes the image and it will probably find human, and I can actually use it to unmask her this way as well. So it does this little dance where it's doing its thing. It didn't find the person. That's interesting. Let's see what it thinks is Flora. So it didn't do a particularly good job of automating that one. So I'm just going to use the radial mask again. I want to bring it closer together. There we go. Okay, so I just want it sort of so it's not on her like that. Right? So now I can decide, I can flip this thing, right? So something different. And if I don't want the color applying from this overlay, I can just make the overlay or the texture black and white. So anything I do here is actually applying to this texture layer. And then I'm going to do my last favorite thing again. My three favorite tools in here are probably the LUTs. I use these a lot. And this one was where I might use the sepia one because that's kind of what I had in mind for this image here, right? So I want to keep the color and do something, like this. Something like that. So that's going to be my final image. I might do another edge vignette just to kind of bring our eye into her. Like that. Now I'm going to guess yours is totally different.
It is.
Yay, we did something different. Okay, so
But
Rob
we
is
started with, we started like something very similar before you took it to Luminar.
okay. I'm just gonna let everybody know
And
that we are having a severe thunderstorm here. So if we suddenly slip out, then that's why, because I've lost the internet or something. So okay, I'm gonna flip to yours. So that's my before. Let me do before. So before. Oh, I'm on the edited one here. Here's the before, and there's my finished edit. And where's Dan's?
so I did something very similar to you. My only thing is that I use a different profile. I started with a, a classic Chrome, which I use a lot for this type of portrait images. I really like it. So
And I'm just going to answer Sheila's question. Can we start watching the
and
Lightroom
that's for
classes
my
now? Yes, there are seven lessons there for you to start watching now, Sheila. So go for it. I sent an email out the other day. So yeah, those are all there for you. Cool. Do you like my crop? I like the square crop. I think it would work good for Instagram too.
Yeah. I like your crop. I was thinking of that, but I think like when I was doing it, I thought like I like also a little bit of the negative space on the right of the image. So, but I like your crop.
Let's get everybody to vote, right? Because we did kind of something different on this one. So how many people in the chat say if you like Dan's edit, say Dan on the chat on this one, or if you like my edit, Darlene's edit. It looks old, right? Like it looks like it's got some scrapes and scratches, like an old picture, and that's kind of what I was going for. Come on, Rob, you can vote. Make a commitment. He doesn't want to commit. Photography is art. You take it to a whole new level. It is art, Heather, and you've even got art in your profile name. So, I mean, there's a whole big discussion, and we could have like an hour-long talk on what is art. And people have different opinions, and I think art is whatever you make of it. It's whatever you like, whatever floats your boat, right? Show us again.
Show
Okay,
again. Show us
right.
again.
That's mine, and there's Dan's. So Dan's is more true color. Mine's is cropped with a texture screen and more of an old. I can't figure out how to put them both on the screen at the same time, unfortunately. Stephanie likes yours. Linton's not sure about the texture of the sepia. Marguerite likes mine. The tones down the color of the striped blanket in the background. Okay, seems okay. You're winning, Dan. Oh, two votes for me, and it looks like 4 votes for you. So, okay, you are winning on that one. All right, your turn. Do another one.
Do another one.
Yeah, I think we probably have time for one more each. So pick which one are you going to pick. Show me the ones and tell me which one you're going to pick. I'll tell you which one I think you should do.
All right, tell me.
Where's my images? Okay. Well, you already did a blue hour one. See, I'd want to see what you do with one of the chocolate shop thing, like the Paris one or something that's different. Because the other one, there's another blue hour from Venice, but that one's kind of similar. Or do that one, or do the Japan one with the bonsai tree.
That's fine. I'll do this one.
Okay.
I know what you did with this one already. So well, you have a couple of different versions of this.
I do. You cheated.
Yes. No, I'm not cheating. Come on. First of all, you say, okay, don't work on the image prior, and then you confess that you were working on the image prior to the stream.
I just did for like 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
You told me don't do it, and you did it. So.
Don't do it. Do as I say, not as I do.
Exactly. Yes. So,
See, for those of you that are watching,
interesting.
if you want to go on a photography tour, go with Dan, right? You'll have a lot of fun.
It's more fun when they are both of us, but we know that's not going to happen anytime soon.
Well, I have to be
So,
there because when Dan leaves his glasses in the restaurant or drops his tripod insert in the lake, we have to pay some guy to retrieve it.
hey, but I have other people that take care of me, like George, and they know me already. Come on,
Was Trish there when you
and
stepped in the
Trish.
cow poop?
I think, yeah, I think she was there. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so first thing, I'm going to. I really don't know what look to go with this, but I think Classic Chrome can work. So I'm going to go with Classic Chrome on this one. And then I'm going to see, because I see like, some of the lines, like I say before, let's see if this can do a good job doing the, striking. Yes, and it did. Okay. Um, so, I mean, the crop, I mean, the car, the bicycle is like coming too far to this end, but it's okay because, it's not that bad actually. So that's the first thing. And then, I will do a little bit of contrast, but there are some highlights that I would like to get rid of, especially on the right side of the frame, which I will probably take care of that differently later, but let's see where I can get. So then I will go some clarity and texture and a little bit of vibrancy there as well. Um, And I am doing like a little bit of the shadows using curves as well there.
Rob, if you could share the video
And
I did on curves for everybody, that would be helpful.
then I'm going to add a vignette there to bring, more to the center of the image. And on this part, I see like a lot of light coming from the right of the frame. So I'm sorry, I'm going to, what I am doing? I'm going to add a linear gradient from the side, like you say, you did before. And I'm going to drop the exposure a little bit from there and give it more. And honestly, I don't know how I feel about the lady. I mean, so I might get rid of her. Let's see what happens if I do
Bye bye. Bye
that.
bye.
Sacred.
Bye bye.
Come on, you did a square one, right? So I can do a square one
Right,
in
right,
two.
right.
Come
I
on.
did square. I did. You're right. I did.
So and that's probably going to, no, it's too much. Um, no. So,
Try
no,
coming.
actually,
Try half of her and then
yeah.
like, just clone her out.
You mean half of her and clone her out? Wow,
Yeah,
that's.
like what if you just leave? Yeah, like that. Let's try it with one leg. One leg. Let's see.
And well, then we need to do a trip to,
To
that will
Photoshop.
be
Yeah.
to Photoshop and see, if there is something, what's going to happen with that, which probably will get rid of her, right?
Yeah, I would do a good job there.
Let's see. Photoshop.
Photoshop.
See, guys, it's a long time since I haven't been doing any editing. Okay.
You can't access your network. Just, oh, you have to say okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or your networks. That's why.
Yeah. Well,
If you can't get it, don't worry about it. We'll just say she will just say
you
that
guys get the idea.
yeah, we'll say that she's gone. She's gone.
Yeah. She's gone. She's gone. And now I cannot get rid of that. Okay, that's fine.
You don't have to
Um,
say okay. Do you have to click it or say okay and then
yeah, no, I am clicking it, but it's not doing anything.
try escape?
So I'm going to get rid of Photoshop once for
Try
once.
escape. Maybe that will work.
Yeah, no, okay. Um, see what happened. Um, no, that's weird. The thing is still there. So let me see.
Let me just answer Heather's question. So she says, "Are you suggesting?" Let me put her comment on here. That we need all three: Luminar, Lightroom, and Photoshop. It really depends on how far you want to take your editing, Heather. The erase tool in Luminar would actually probably do a really good job of removing her as well. So you could deal with that. If you are cloning things out, which means removing things like this woman, Lightroom does not do the best job. So you would need to have Photoshop. But if you have Lightroom and you have the current monthly subscription and you're paying for the photographer's package, I'll grab a link for that. If you've already got that, you're paying about $10 a month. You have both, right? So if you have Lightroom, you actually have Photoshop. All right. Do you want me to show one while you're working on one?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I was working
Basically
on
what
this.
I
I
am
was
doing.
cheating. I was cheating. I was working on this one to try and get another one. So basically what I
You
did
are a
here was
cheater.
I'm trying to bring the smoke out or the steam out. So I'm trying to add some contrast to the volcano. And how did you shoot this one? Did you do it in a plane or it's your drone?
That was the drone.
Oh, okay. Don't drop it in there. It's forbidden.
No, I was. Actually, George was with me there, and
That's a
yeah,
private joke. I'm going to take this one to Luminar as well. So the things that I'm doing in Luminar, Heather, I could do in Photoshop as well, but I find that Luminar just does things simpler. With a few clicks, I can do the same things as what might take me an hour in Photoshop, might take me 5 minutes in Luminar. So Photoshop is still sort of the industry standard for pros. Um, if you're doing multiple images and making composites of multiple things, you probably still need it. But if you're the average photographer working on your photos, you probably don't, right? And it's probably more than you need. And I'm going in here again because I want to tone down this yellow. But when I did the yellow in Lightroom, right, so I want to lower the saturation and the luminance of the yellow because I want to lower this sort of highlights on the mountain here, but it also affected the lava and I didn't want that to happen. So I'm just going to mask it so that it's not on the lava. So I'm going to do a radial gradient. So radial gradient is literally just a circle. That's all. And it's a circle or it's designating the area that's not affected. So I'm just selecting that part here. Right. So you see now it's not affecting the lava. It's only affecting this part. So that's why I really like this color tool. And I can also actually apply it more than once because if I want to apply it again and affect the smoke, because I actually want to get rid of there's some blue and stuff up in here. I'm just going to do color cast. No, that's not it. I think it's blue, right? So if I'm just guessing here. Yeah, see there's blue in the smoke. So I'm darkening that a little bit, and then I'm just going to desaturate the blue. So the smoke doesn't look blue. That's kind of what I'm getting at here. See that? There we go. And the orange, I might dial it back as well because that lava is kind of going kind of crazy. I heard another So shout out to Jim Nix, who is also on YouTube. But I watched his video today on something else, and he said my version of overly saturated images is neon puke, and he called it clown colors or something like that. Clown saturation. So that was his version of mine. So yeah, that one, and I might do some structure, which is a really great tool in Luminar as well. It's light clarity. Look at it bring out this texture in the lava, right? Look at all this texture over here. And then I'm just gonna do a vignette on the outside here.
Yeah, Ron, it really looks like a dragon's eye. That's the first impression that I got when I saw it.
Oh, it does too. Yeah.
Yes, it does. Yes,
Now that you say that, now I can't not see it. It does
yes,
look like an eye. Yeah. And then maybe
yeah.
he's crying. Oh,
Oh.
I have a fun idea. Okay, I'm going to take this back to Lightroom. Actually, let's just see what happens in here. Watch if I put it upside down. Now he's crying. That would kind of mess with people, right?
Yeah.
You could make an abstract out of that. So that's kind of what I'm going to do with this one in Luminar. So there's my after. There's my after.
So you want okay? So I figured out what happened. Anyways, let
So
me
there's
go
the
share.
before. There's the before. And there's my after. So I wanted to really kind of punch up the texture and texture on the smoke as well. All right, you're ready to go with that one again?
I guess I was. I mean, I guess I was almost done anyway. So I couldn't get to Photoshop, but I get rid of the scene. The cursor scene was not leaving me to close it. This scene,
Gotcha.
so that's why I couldn't close it before. Um, yeah, but that was like kind of my finished image without hair, which I suppose is not there. Okay.
That's your finished
So
image?
probably yours, yeah, probably yours has a lot of texture, right?
Yeah, I did a bunch of things on mine. Because I was demonstrating this one for the Luminar course, so I was demonstrating different things. So I put a texture and an edge that looks like film edge.
Yeah,
So for those of us that used to shoot film, that's like a 35 millimeter film edge. So that's what I did. But yeah, I have a couple of versions of this one. I have this one with a different texture, and it's sort of a muted colors
right.
and muted like a matte
Yeah,
finish, right? The blacks are more
yeah,
matte,
hmm
and I
yeah,
didn't take her out because I actually waited, and that's the story that Rob wants to tell, right? Is I actually waited for probably 10-15 minutes here, and of course we went in and we bought some chocolates, of course. But I wanted to have it was raining, and I wanted to have somebody in the shot, and there was different people going by with umbrellas, and they were all like crazy colors, and this lady went by with it was all black, and I was like, perfect. So I think I have a few pictures of her as she's going by as well. So that's another class
good.
altogether.
So you waited for them for 15 minutes, and I
I
wanted to
waited
get
for a
rid of
person.
them. That's
Yeah,
it. That's interest. That's interesting.
I waited for a person. So let me
So
let me see
let's.
your volcano. What did you do on your volcano? Is it
Yeah,
look similar?
I was going to go there. Hold on.
There's my finished one, and you cropped it a
I
little
did.
bit more.
I cropped it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You got more detail in the lava too, I think. Yeah, my lava's gone a little bit too bright, I think. So I probably come back and tone that down a little bit. But yeah, and now
After
that you
10
say
minutes, I start looking for a pub.
that, I can't not see a dragon's eye now. That's all I could see. And now I'm thinking about sushi because they have dragon's eye roll, right? So now I want to have sushi.
Don't bring
Well,
the food now.
we're at an hour and a half, so I think we're sort of at the end here of what people would put up with us for doing tonight. Is there any others of mine that you really like? Okay, I have to do that one, or
No, I'm fine.
you're good.
I'm
I'm
good.
curious what you would do with this one, because I did something different with this one. I'm curious
Which
what you
one?
would do with this one. Do this one. Yeah, I know you
Oh,
were going to
okay,
do
okay,
this one.
okay. This is that one.
Heather says she waits for breezes to stop on flower petals, as you should. Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So first on this one, I'm going to pick my profile, and it's going to be Astia. So I know I want to work on that one. And then I'm going to try to correct the perspective here. That's something things that
Yeah,
always
that one's
bothers
kind of,
me.
that's definitely crooked.
Yeah, it's crooked. Let's see what Auto does, and it does a pretty good job. But I'm going to crop a little bit of that, and maybe there,
Marty,
because I am trying to get rid of this
that part
space
of the
there. I
roof.
might,
Yeah.
yeah, that part of that there.
So Marty is saying, thanks, I
Uh,
enjoyed this. It's good to see different takes. Thanks, Marty. And I think
and
Ron's been into the rum and the cigars as well, because he says, this time I will not go for the one-legged woman named Eileen. I will jump to the kangaroo, the dragon's eye. I don't know what that means. Oh, and cigars, Rob. Yes. Apparently Rob and Ron
yes,
talk a lot
cigars.
about cigars. So
Okay,
yes.
perfect. So now I'm going to do a little bit of contrast using cars, but I'm going to see if there is something that I can recover from the sky, right? So I'm going to go to select sky in mask. It's a pretty good job there. And then I'm going to bring back exposure. So I have a little bit of sky there. This is kind of a weird time, right? Because it's like getting into
It's
blue
not
hour,
quite
but it's
blue
not
hour.
blue hour
Yeah.
yet, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you have the sky. It's like, I don't know how far you can take it so it doesn't start to look fake.
Yeah.
Um, but you can probably do a sky replacement in Luminar, right?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. So then I would add some. Why did highlights? Okay. Okay. So now I'm going to add some clarity, which always works very well. When you have a lot of patina in the walls and stuff like that. Um, And I'm going to try to bring a little bit more of attention on the center of the image where we have this wall. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add another mask. It's going to be a linear from the side to darken a little bit that there, because it doesn't actually bring me anything.
Yeah, that building was really interesting, and it's actually facing
Yeah,
the exact opposite way where I took the other picture that you edited. It's the same
right.
street, but it's like facing
Yes.
that way. Yeah, and this building is
Hmm.
round, so the boats come through here, like the gondolas and stuff come through here.
Right. So then I'm going to add a little bit of color with vibrance and just a little bit of saturation, because I don't want this to go like, crazy, like you say, John Mix, like a puke,
Neon puke.
neon puke. I don't want this to go in neon puke.
No, don't do.
Um,
That's my phrase. That's my phrase.
oh, that's your phrase. Okay. And then I might add a little bit of light onto this boat as well. Again with the mask. I do this a lot in this type of images.
Do a select subject. I'm curious what Lightroom would pick actually, because sometimes in an image like
Um,
this, it doesn't know what to pick. Let's see what it picks. The
No,
boat.
it did pick the boat.
See, it did pick the boat. So you could have done that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm
So
not
I
sure.
added a little bit
I'm not sure I would agree with
I
it.
with
I think the wall is the subject for me, anyways.
yeah. It's not as much, but this already it looks like I have a spotlight there already. Not sure if I add another one, it's not going to be too much. Okay,
Let's see.
and I normally try to like I don't do that circles. I try to do like more things that more realistic, and so that's why I use a lot of fade as well. Uh, I see it can get there, and I will probably use another one in the other side here, which is not going to be as strong as the one we
Right.
have there,
Yeah.
right?
See, this is interesting for me too, because like seeing how you think about it as well.
So it's like it's bringing like a little bit of light there, but not
Yeah.
as much as the other one, right? Um, so that's pretty much what I will do. I don't think I need a vignette. If I need a vignette, it will be like very little, maybe for this section here on top. Uh, yeah. And that's pretty much what I will do with this.
Let's
Then
see.
if I have more time, I will maybe clean these things up. This is probably another boat going by, right? So I will
Yeah,
probably
it could
clean
be, yeah.
those up.
Or like a splash of
Um,
water. Yeah. How long was
yeah,
my
and then
exposure?
another thing that I look in images like this, and I'll do it very quick. Like it bothers me when I see like these things, like so then I will go and I
Yeah.
remove it very quick because I think it's it doesn't add anything, but it brings your eye there a
Mm-hmm.
lot. So I go and I go through these things very quick. Sometimes I see things on the you know uh,
Mm-hmm.
like there, right, like
Gum.
so, and like so, gum. Yeah, I when you ask me, okay, how long you spend? Well, I spend a lot of time trying to, once I get the color, what I want to do, and more or less, I try to go and do a lot of those things that, it looks a more polished image. Some people is not like very keen on that, and they say, no, you should do that. But to me, it's like, the image needs to be pleasing when you look at it. So I don't care of doing that, so but I have done like photos of in India, like taking a lot of time removing from the street, you know, like
Yeah.
cigarette butts and rocks and things like that. So that's then the before and after. Before
Look,
and
I'm getting served. No, put it here. So
Over this way. So you're in the screen.
it is on the screen. That's why I'm here putting it here.
after.
I'm getting a refill. I'm getting a refill. Look at that for service, hey? Okay, so put yours
Yeah,
full screen and let's see the before and after. Now what to do?
that's
There we go. Okay, so
full screen.
there. Okay, before.
It says no photo selected. Wow,
Oh, you know what? Do undo. It went. Yeah, it did something.
that's before
Before.
and
So a little
after.
flat. Yeah, you corrected the distortion. Yeah,
Yeah,
mine is pretty similar.
let's see.
Apparently I removed mine. Hang on a second. Apparently I removed my share screen. Give me a second. Okay, I must have pressed a button. There.
How
That's
long did you take your Varanasi man on the boat? I don't know, probably like a good hour. And
The very nasty man on the boat. Yeah. So Anne is talking about a different image of his. If you
Yeah.
want to find that one and just show us that one, that would be cool. Actually, as a finish up, go find that one in your Lightroom, Dan. But this one for me is not that much different. I just did it a little bit darker, but you notice that I highlighted that wall, and there was a spotlight there of some kind, and there definitely was a boat that went by here. And what I did was I did a mask.
But they're very similar.
Yeah, I did a mask on the sky. So at the time they didn't have this. I edited this one before they had what do you call it? The different masking things in here, like the auto masking and stuff. So I did this one with this mask, and then I've got the sky here. So so there's the sky. This one is selecting luminance range, and then radio. So basically this one is affecting the sky here. And I darkened the sky down, and I added sort of some color to it. So I made it more like sort of yellow at the horizon. Otherwise fairly similar. I just made mine darker.
Yeah.
I just went to extreme. So Dan has found his image here. So this is the one I think Anne is talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a before on that one, or that's the finished?
Let me see. I don't know, because this one might have a couple of versions.
Just to give people an idea of like what it comes out of camera, right?
Yeah.
That's what it looked like out of camera. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's after.
Nice.
Yeah.
And did you not win some award for this one, or was it the other one with the birds?
No. Yes. This one.
This one.
Yeah. So the thing is like, I believe now it will be much faster, because when we did this, we didn't have all these masking tools in like, Lightroom like we have now. So a lot of the, retouching that I did on the lights, on the image, it's like with the brush, right? So now it's much easier to select subjects in Lightroom. So.
Yeah. You got some nice lighting in the background. We have similar, purple, blue stuff going on here in the background.
Yes. Yes,
nice.
We do.
Any other questions, everybody? I think that that was a great session, and everybody seemed to really enjoy, seeing the before and afters. What did you win for this one? You won an award of some kind.
I did, yes. It was first place in the National Photographic Association here in the US. Portrait.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Felicidades, mi amigo.
You were sleeping.
Yes. he's joking, but it's true. When Dan took that photo, I was sleeping in the hotel room. So we were in the same hotel, and Dan got up at like some kind of ridiculous hour, 4 a.m. or something, to go and make that. And I said, no, go do some shoots. Come and get me later. And I did some later, and I got some great shots. Here, I'll find my version of that. It's not the same guy, but similar shoot. The same sort of sadhus. This is my favorite from that shoot. Oops. Hang on. Where is he? There. Okay. This is the one that I my favorite from that shoot. So you can see, look, it's the same boat. See, I got in the boat. Look, same boat. And this one, I did a sky replacement. I did a sky replacement on this one, and I added the birds. So it doesn't look anything like the original image. So if you guys want to see the original, I got to go find it. And give me a second here to find it. It's in my Lightroom somewhere. All right, so here, I think it's this one. Yeah, this one. Okay, so that's the original. That's one edit that I did where I just shifted the color, and then that was my final edit.
Show the one with the whole crew there that you have there.
That's the original.
No. I know.
Oh,
Go back to the library. The one that you are in the boat with me and the yeah.
oh yeah. There we are. Proof that I got in a boat.
Yes.
I don't like boats so much, and well, Ugo knows as well that I didn't have a good experience with the boat in Italy as well. But there's our friend Manoj. Trish would recognize him, right? From that trip that she did with you. So that's our friend Manoj who arranges things in Varanasi for us. So yes. So I'm gonna come back to us and get our glass here because I want to sign out. We haven't eaten supper yet, so we're gonna eat a late barbecue here. Anybody else have any last minute questions? Coffee for Linton soon. Well, you can put rum in your coffee, Linton. If you come to Cuba with us, you have to put rum in your coffee. That's the stipulation.
You have to.
Yeah, Linton will do it. He will do it. And I know Anne will do it. Well, she came to Cuba with us, so yes. And remember, Anne, when Dan almost fell into the drink in
Oh, come on.
Aracoa?
Here we go again.
We have a lot of adventures and we had a lot of fun, but we are very good friends and we really appreciate each other's company. So and Rob and Dan have this whole bromance thing going on. So thanks everybody for joining us. Cheers, Dan. Salut, my friend.
Bye-bye.
Ron has Irish coffee.
Thank you for having me.
Perfect, Ron. Thanks. This was a lot of fun, everybody.
Yeah.
Take care.
All
and we'll
right.
see you
Thank
next
you.
week. I'll be back next week with Luminar Neo. And remember to please continue to submit your images. I'll just show this one more time. Where is my screen? Not this one. This one. Let me show this. There we go. Submit your photos there. Point over this way, Dad. Point over there. There.
No,
Other way. There. Yeah. Use that link, submit your photos, and I'll see you next week for Luminar Neo editing. Take care.